This is the Jack Murphy Podcast. Here's your host, Jack Murphy.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I saw the video myself, Alpha. The wig just flew off right at the beginning. The question I want to ask is, why don't they have better cameras in the WNBA? That was terrible video that happening. Was it not a televised game, you think?
I don't think many of them are televised, except for the ones that Caitlin Clark is playing.
Yeah, well, those are the only ones that should be televised because the rest of them are terrible.
Well, the thing about this, this happened the day after it blew up. Well, a couple days after it blew up, that WNBA players at their All-Star game came out wearing a shirt that says, "Pay us what we're worth."
Yeah, they've been saying that for years, and I think they've gotten their answer. They're being paid what they're worth. Have you seen the guy? By the way, welcome to the Jack Murphy Podcast.
Good morning.
My good friend, famous actor Alpha Trevette is with us this morning again. Ironically, yesterday we said we were going to have the Dream Doctor on,
right.
Lori Lowenberg, today. She texted me this morning at like 5 a.m. and said, "Can I reschedule for tomorrow? I couldn't sleep last night." And I thought,
well, of course.
Ironic.
The excitement of being on with us. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Oddly enough, I had some very weird dreams last night.
Well, I hope you wrote them down because
I got them. I remembered it. And my friend Susan, she texted me one that she's had as a recurring dream.
Oh, great! Because if you don't, I tell you what I found with dreams is if you don't write them down, you forget
a lot of times.
them. Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about this WNBA game, and there's a guy who does this hilarious TikTok channel, and he sounds like Marv Albert or somebody, and he goes, "Angel Reese," and he has her rebounding, and she always misses the follow-up shot. She never makes the easy layup, and so he does these kind of reverse stats on her, like 22 rebounds, 28 missed shots that he does. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Now, those of you who hadn't seen it, there's in the middle of a play, one of the players' wigs fall off, and she grabs it off the floor and runs off the court.
And the killer thing is, they stop the game.
Everybody stopped.
Like if I were the other team, I would have grabbed the ball and went and scored.
Right. Go down, score. Okay, so you got four players on. It's like hockey, 4 players on the ice. And a hockey player, if he loses a tooth, he doesn't bother picking it up.
And I've seen basketball games where guys' pants ripped in half or football players lose a shoe. They don't stop. There's no stopping in sports. If you lose your weave, you just keep on going. And I'm surprised that more of these women haven't lost their wigs or weaves out there.
I think the highest paid WNBA players get around $600,000. I think that's the top. But you got to understand that ticket sales aren't that big, and they are being heavily subsidized by the NBA. So if the NBA didn't give them money every year, they would be further below water than they are.
And on top of that, they have a terrible marketing strategy. They attack and belittle and bemoan their biggest star, Caitlin Clark.
And if you watch any replays, I don't know if you're not interested in sports anyway, but I'm sure even less interested in women's sports. But if you watch some replays, some of the officials, the referees, the ones in the striped shirts, some of their calls are just unbelievable. Calls and no calls.
I've seen a 3-on-2 blocking drill on Caitlin Clark, and they don't call a foul. How that girl's still alive, I don't know. When Trump first got elected, I had hopes that the media was going to change. And he has drugged them kicking and screaming to the brink to make some change. But they're still doing the same old crap that they were doing before Alpha. And I saw it yesterday when this shooting happened, right, in New York City. So I think I was watching, I flipped on, because I had read it, and I flipped on the TV. I think it was CBS. They're showing a picture of this guy. Now, I couldn't tell if he was Middle Eastern or black or whatever, but he was definitely dark-skinned, dark hair. And the reporter went out of the way that goes, "We're not sure of the identity, but we believe police are looking for a Caucasian suspect."
Yeah.
As if Caucasian men are the only ones who shoot people. I mean, that was basically what that reporter was telling me. And they're showing the picture. And I think, how can you look at that picture and say they're looking for a Caucasian man? I don't care what color he was. Just tell the truth about what he looked like.
And I think that's the argument with a lot of media now is just we don't feel like we're being given the truth. And once the truth is revealed, then there's no mea culpa. There's no oops, sorry, yeah, we got that wrong. We're going to fix it next time. We'll never do that again.
Never, ever. I mean, you can go watch. There are montages put together of reporters lying about Trump, Russian collusion, and all the experts they have on with them. They never said I was wrong. They never said we made a mistake. They just go right on doing what they were doing before.
For those of you old enough to remember the Iraq War with Baghdad Bob.
Oh, yeah.
No, the Americans are not here, and they're behind him, Or the reports from the riots, what was it, 2017? No. When were they?
Mostly peaceful. They weren't riots. They were
mostly peaceful, and there's a building on fire right behind the guys.
They're storming the federal building and setting it on fire behind you. They're actually doing an insurrection.
Right.
That's what they were doing.
A lot of times they double down on stupid, and I just wish you would just concentrate on telling us the truth.
And I don't know what they think they accomplish. Maybe they're so liberal and brainwashed, these reporters, that they think they're doing some sort of a service to humanity and race and trying to eliminate racism by doing it. But like the story you mentioned, I saw that last night too. There was it a jazz festival or something like that in Cincinnati?
Right. Yeah, it was. And a white couple, based on the video, they're walking down the street and they get attacked.
I think you're exactly right based on the video. I don't think there's any doubt about what happened.
A guy, he gets attacked from behind, sucker punch, knockdown. Then other people join in and start hitting and kicking. A woman, I guess, who was with him, comes to his defense, and she gets drilled by its guy and knocked unconscious on the street. And then there's other people jumping in, punching, kicking, and police report that there were a dozen or more videos of what happened, but only one person called 911.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, Alpha didn't say it. It was a bunch of black people that jumped on a white couple and beat the crap out of them. That's what happened. And it was videotaped, and nobody called 911 except the one person. And on the news, you didn't hear any of that. It was just like a couple was attacked randomly. We don't know who did it or anything.
There are supposedly 5 people in custody now who will be charged with the assault. Now, whether or not they will be charged in a hate crime, that's yet to be seen.
Oh, I'm sure they won't be. There'll be 12 witnesses who said, "Oh, he called us a bad word," and that's why it started. It's like there's a case that's a few months old now of this high school kid, black high school kid, and they're at a track meet, I think.
Yes, in Texas.
And I really don't care what happened. I don't care what the other kid said, if he said anything or whatever, but the black kid pulls out a knife and stabs the other guy, and he died, right?
Yes.
The kid died. And suddenly the whole thing got reversed. It was like he was a victim of racism, and that's why he did it. And I thought, like, when I used to go to high school football games, I never carried a knife that would kill somebody at the game, number one. And number two, then they had this gigantic fundraiser for the kid, and his parents spent all the money that was supposed to go to his defense.
They bought a new house.
Yeah, and then they went on TV and tried to beg for more money. Yeah. And isn't he named after a basketball player? Isn't his name like Allen Iverson or something?
Yes, but no. It's not Allen Iverson, but yes,
It's not, but he's named after some
yeah,
famous
some athlete.
person. And
Yeah,
I kept thinking, because I saw it and I went, an NBA player stabbed a young white kid?
right.
What happened? And then I thought, and then I found out, no, it's a. But the point is, it was just a murder. Or at a minimum, it was manslaughter. And in the media, it's portrayed as he was just defending himself from racism.
Right. Yeah, defending yourself against a word by stabbing somebody in the chest.
And by the way, all the witnesses that were there said there was no word. It was a robbery, is what a
Right.
lot of people said.
Right, and there's even video, I think, that points out more of what happened than the story we're hearing.
So I want to ask you if there's anybody in the world who stretches and embellishes a story better than Jamie Lee Curtis does.
Yeah, she's claiming now that cosmetic surgery is tantamount
Genocide.
to genocide.
Genocide, yeah.
Yeah, and now, granted, I think a lot of cosmetic surgeries wind up looking pretty bad. But to
I
suggest,
think most of yours look pretty good, by the way. I mean,
well, thank you.
it's
Thank you. I did it most of it myself.
It's tremendous what they've done. One of these days I'm going to get the turkey twaddle done.
Yeah, the old turkey neck. But you know what? I got rid of a little bit of mine by losing weight. Not saying.
Yeah, me too. I did. Mine used to be a lot worse, but
Yeah.
now I used to wonder all the time when I was younger. When you would see these stars on television and they had these ascots or these scarves on, I used to wonder, why is he wearing that dumb scarf? Like, it's to cover up his neck wrinkles or whatever. And I went,
That'd be a great look for you, Jack. Ascot. I think.
I may wear one tomorrow on the
I
podcast.
think you could rock the ascot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a smoking jacket.
I just like the name Ascot.
Oh yeah. And if you're uppity and somebody saying, just kiss my ascot, for crying out loud.
It's a good looking ascot you've got.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
What a hot
So,
ascot.
so Jamie Lee Curtis does this whole thing because she used to be so smoking hot and now she's not.
She was.
But she does this big thing about she was never going to have plastic surgery. But a few days ago, she did. I don't know why these people are always in front of the camera doing a press conference, but it was a picture of her with her two daughters, and she goes, "My trans daughter is a real woman, and no one can tell that she's not a woman." And they show the two daughters, and one of them looks like a daughter, and the other looks like a lineman for Ohio State. And I said, "I can tell. I hate to tell you, but I can tell."
Jamie, I can tell. If you want me to tell you,
Your daughter's the dude. I can tell.
there's it's weird. There's an inordinate number of high-profile people, Hollywood stars, even a few athletes,
Right.
who have trans or bi or some sort of difference.
Like Magic Johnson.
Yeah. And there's another basketball player. What's his name? Dwayne Wade.
Dwayne Wade, yeah.
He's got a son who's now a daughter. Charlize Theron adopted two boys, and all of a sudden she decides they're girls and is raising them as female.
Right. It's the in thing to do in Hollywood.
Well, there's some. Well, I don't want to go too deep down a rabbit hole.
I mean,
but
some of them are, gay or bi or whatever. But I have seen people in Hollywood, both stars and otherwise, who say, "Oh, I just know my child is gay," or "I know my child is bi." You don't know. They're children. And I heard and then people say we should support them with the medical things that they could do for them. And some guy said, "Yeah, my kid thinks he's a pirate. Should we chop off his leg?
Poke out his eye, give him a patch? Yeah, right?
He's 21. Give him a chance to grow up and let them decide what they want to be."
Yeah, because there are more and more children who are transed and given the hormone
Surgery, the
treatments and
hormones.
all that stuff, who are now
Suicidal.
right and regretting what they've done, that they've mutilated their bodies. I agree. I think it's totally reasonable to say, well, because my grandson, I have a granddaughter and a grandson. Granddaughter's 2 years older, basically, and she loved being a little girly girl. She would listen to Disney songs and sing them and wear a little pink tutu. And when my grandson, playing with her, wanted to be playing and having a good time, he would put on a tutu, and they would play together and have a great time. Now, if at any point during that we said, "Oh my God, he wants to be a girl," and then started treating him as if he were a girl and calling him by a feminine name and rearranging his life in such a way that now he'd grown up, as a boy, and all of those things inside him, all of those hormones and uh, the DNA, everything programmed for him to be a boy. If we had slammed the brakes on that and said, "No, no, you're a girl, and we will treat you like a girl," I can't imagine the harm that would have done to him.
I I have a very good friend and older guy, older than me, and one day he moved here and doesn't know a lot of people here, and one day we're in the back, we talk across the fence, and one day he says to me, "My grandson thinks he's a girl," and I went, "Yeah, what do you say?" I went, "Gosh, it's hard to deal with." And the kid was young. I'm talking, 7 years old, and is wearing dress, and the mother is, in full support of it, and full blown support of it, and letting him use a different name and dressing him and everything. I mean, it's a whole new world we live in.
I have a family member who, at one point, she decided she was a he,
Right.
and now his family treats him as a practically grown male. I haven't checked
I mean,
on
if
him.
you're a grown person, maybe even a 17, 18-year-old person, and you've made up your mind that's what it is and that's what you're going to be, fine. But to me, I think pushing it on children is
Yeah, if before the puberty
not the way
fairy
to go.
visits, then it's probably just
Yeah.
let things ride for a while. That's just my thoughts on it.
I watched the new Adam Sandler movie on
Ah,
Netflix.
yeah.
Have you watched it yet?
I've not watched it. My daughter watched it and thought it was
Happy
very good.
Gilmore too. I
Right.
thought it was terrible.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of epitomizes what's happened to movies now, that everything is right to Netflix. I mean, you see it in the budget they did and everything. So in this movie, there are cameos by everybody.
Right. That's what I hear.
I mean, now in Hollywood, if people are going, "I didn't see you in Billy Madison," because I mean, every time you looked up, there's a new star's face, just for a brief scene in the movie. But it was just kind of stupid.
It's kind of remember the Muppet Show? How how popular it became, and there were big name actors who were practically begging, to
Still are
to be in the Muppet Show.
Chris Stapleton, I just read, is getting ready to do the Muppets.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was entertaining. So I like I said, I have not watched Happy Chandler 2 or Happy Gilmore 2.
Happy Gilmore too.
Yeah.
I said Billy Madison. Happy Gilmore too. I mean, it was it was free. I didn't have to go to the theater and pay $50 or whatever. So I watched the whole thing on my couch. But about halfway through it,
you ever do that? You get into a movie and you start going, "Boy, this sucks."
yeah,
I mean,
I did it in that one, and halfway through it, I'm sitting there thinking it sucks. And my friend John Carter texted me. He goes, "I'm watching this new Adam Sandler movie. It sucks." I said, "I'm watching it too, and you're right. It sucks."
That's the beautiful thing about watching at home. If you're in a theater, you kind of don't want to get up in the middle of a movie and walk out.
And you probably got some of that good movie popcorn and some snacks.
Sometimes you hate to even get up if you have to go pee.
Yeah.
You know? But when you're watching a suck movie at home, Nothing. No big deal.
No big deal. You turn it off.
To.
Turn it off and go to YouTube.
Yeah.
But the folks at Rolling Stone have ranked Adam Sandler's movies best to worst. Now, there's a bunch of them, so I'm not going to do them all. I'm just going to do the top 10 because they go to 25, and there's more than that.
Well, Waterboy's got to be in there somewhere.
Well, we'll see. Here we go.
Okay.
Number 10.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this one. Hustle.
Hustle?
Yeah, from 2022.
Okay. So you're working up from 10. You're not going all the way to 25.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
yeah. So number 9, and I like this one. Don't mess with the Zohan. Do you remember that one where he was a hairdresser and he could?
Yes.
It was pretty funny. It was stupid, but it was funny. See,
Yeah,
Dan, he was stupid, but it was funny. Number 8, the Meyerowitz stories.
Yeah.
Never saw that one. Here it is. Number 7,
Yes.
50 First Dates.
Okay.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Not really funny, but a good movie. Number 6, Waterboy.
Okay.
5, The Wedding Singer. I don't have any problem with that.
All right.
4 is Punch Drunk Love. I don't remember that one from 2002. You remember that one?
No.
3, Uncut Gems, which was a serious role where he plays this gambling jeweler who's always gambling, making bets, and people are trying to rob him. It was actually a pretty good role. He did pretty good in it. 2, Happy Gilmore, and number 1, Billy Madison.
Okay.
And they've got Happy Gilmore, too, at number 11. But I liked Mr. Deeds. That's way down at 14. He's done a lot of movies, man.
Yeah. I'm not sure what it says about you as an actor when you name off a movie and people go, I don't remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, he's done a lot of movies.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, when you get past him, and the thing is, he had one of those studio deals that people dream about, where I don't know who was at Paramount or whoever, it gave him a big suite of offices on the lot for him and his buddies to use, and they just green-lighted pretty much anything he came up with and wrote. And he kept putting his, remember, he did 2 or 3 of those where it was the ones where it was friends, all his friends from high school, and had Kevin James and Chris Rock. And he uses a lot of the same people in his movies, but he had a sweet, sweet deal.
I saw him do a live concert, a live comedy show, and it was very entertaining.
He still does a lot of live stand-up, wearing really tacky clothes.
Combined stand-up, and he did a few of his songs.
He's a talented guy.
Yeah.
Clearly have too much anger and rage.
Well, we've lost our sense of humor, I think. It's what I was talking with somebody about the other day about doing stand-up. It's I admire people who are still able to do stand-up and be able to tiptoe that sideline, or sometimes not. Sometimes you just go ahead and don't worry about it and just go ahead and offend people. But that tends to be a braver choice, I think.
Well, and also you see more and more, I see these clips on YouTube where some guy's performing and somebody in the audience gets upset at the material and they think it's their job to call out the comedian. Usually it doesn't turn out well, but they do it all the time. And sometimes they'll even go up and physically attack the comedian.
It's happened, yeah.
On stage. That happens too.
There is I won't say a class, but there is a mentality out there of people who want to be offended on someone else's behalf.
White liberal women, I think, that's who you're looking for usually.
The ones who are mainly upset about this Sydney Sweeney ad. Have you seen this for American Eagle?
I've heard a lot of talk about it. I haven't seen the ad, and they compare it to the Brooke Shields ads that she did for Jordache or whatever.
Yeah, but she was only like 12 when she did those, I think. So there was a little bit of difference. It's kind of like, remember the Hardys and Carl Jr.'s ad from several years ago with the woman eating the hamburger?
Didn't Paris Hilton do one of those?
I could have.
I think Paris Hilton did one.
But with Sydney Sweeney, for those, I mean, regardless of what you think of her acting ability, it, maybe there, maybe not. She is a gorgeous woman, and in these ads for American Eagle, she walks up to a big billboard that has a picture of her, and it says, "I have Sydney Sweeney has good genes," spelled Genes. She crosses it out and writes Jeans.
And that's what they're mad about?
They're mad because they're saying that is nothing but glorifying white supremacy. It's
White supremacy?
yes, it's because she has great genes. So we are
they're
saying
white. They're assuming they're white genes.
this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, beautiful woman
I just want to throw up.
has wonderful genes, and so that's Nazism. That's Hitler. That's.
I hope they run that commercial even more now.
Well, I mean, it's specifically the company makes clothing. Specifically,
Today's podcast is brought to you by Sydney Sweeney's jeans, ladies and gentlemen.
Sydney Sweeney's ass, which looks damn good in those jeans. That's
No, I say that about Rage because I don't know if it's just because of social media alpha, but every time I go on to Instagram, and I follow a lot of these people on Instagram and on TikTok, I'm big on the TikTok.
I know you are. You're a TikTok
There's
king.
Constant road rage, motorcycle rage,
yeah.
but it's even encroached onto the sacred place, golf.
Ah,
It's unbelievable how many fights there are on the golf course. Here you are out there in the scenic beauty of nature with the birds chirping, the green grass, the flowers, the club in your hands, the golf ball, maybe a cold beer. Maybe a little dip on your mouth while you're out there. Most of the golfers like a little dip or Zen or something while they're playing. And, there's a guy on the green. He's not putting quick enough to suit you. And you go, hey, and the next thing you know, there's fisticuffs. And then if you're in a foursome, everybody feels like they have to join in. And soon you got 8 guys going at it.
yeah, and I have actually been on the golf course when tempers flared and
I have
people
too.
pulled out clubs and almost started swinging them at each other. And this normally occurs from some people who take the game a little too seriously.
Or drink too much while they play.
Exactly, because the cart girl comes around and you flirt with the cart girl and you buy more beers than you should. And then the testosterone and the alcohol fuels animosity towards somebody who might have insulted you by saying, hey, pick up the pace.
Some people just shouldn't drink and play golf because you're right, they do that. But the only time you should get mad at somebody on a golf cart is if they hit into you on purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
If it's slow play, call the marshal. It's not your job to tell them to speed up. You call the marshal and say, hey, we got a guy out here on 8 that's holding up the whole course. And the marshal will come out and go, hey, you got to speed it up. You're on the clock. And that's
right. And that's the proper way, because if you are a conscientious golfer, like I tried to be, is if the marshal comes along and says, hey, guys, pick up the pace a little bit,
you
do.
up.
And you figure out a way to do that. Like if you measure a putt, if it's close enough, it's good. We'll pick them up. Good. We don't have to bother about free putting.
I played golf for like 35 years. And it was always terrible. I had 4 magic rounds where I broke 80. That was just fantastic. But we had a group out in San Diego that I played with. There were 36 guys. And gimmies, we measured our putters. We all had to bring our putter into the clubhouse. They were measured with a measuring tape, and a piece of black tape was put on your putter and had to be inside the tape. Because some guys had these long putters, and they would say, well, if it's inside the leather, which is anything below the grip, and they're giving each other 5-foot putts, and we're playing for money, so it's
yeah.
But I only had one instance where I was threatened on the golf course. And it was in San Diego, and I lived right there by the course, and I was playing 4 or 5 times a week because I could literally get there in 5 minutes. But there's a lot of people from Canada who come down to San Diego for the winter. and there's a big timeshare place right by the golf course. And this guy thought he was, Mr. Uber wealthy. He had 8 weeks at the timeshare, whatever, and he'd come down there. And what? First time I met him, met people, and they said, "Hey, this is Joe from Canada. Hey, Joe, nice to meet you." Whatever. We're playing the first freaking hole. He's in the bunker, and I'm, the hole's like this one, and I'm standing like right over here, and he hits his bunker shot, duffs it, and has to hit a second one, and he walks up to me and goes, "Don't ever stand in my field of view when I'm trying to hit out of the bunker." And he said it like he was gonna like it was an
threatening,
threat, And I go, "Well," I went, "Well, how about you tell me to move if I'm in your field of view? I think I was out of the way plenty enough. I don't think that was your problem. It was that you don't know how to hit a bunker shot."
Maybe, yeah.
And he just said, "Just don't do it again."
You bring up Canada, and there was a list of things that people, I guess, from foreign countries, suggested that America ought to consider that maybe we don't have like they have.
I saw some of that list. It was
what made me think of it when you mentioned Canada, and one of the things on the list was poutine.
Poutine.
I'm going, seriously?
Have you ever watched? There's a chef. He's a big guy, obese guy, and he has tattoos all over him. And he's very successful. He's a recovered drug addict, but he got into cooking, and he's really good at it. But he has several restaurants, I think, in Quebec, but he's on TV a lot. His first name's Matty, and he's real gregarious, and he does cooking shows and everything. But he does poutine. Basically, it's French fries with melted cheese on it, and they'll throw meat and other stuff on it, right? Isn't that basically what it is?
Well, done properly, it's French fries with cheese curds, and then
cheese curds
with a brown gravy over top. And
okay.
My son-in-law is Canadian, and I remember early on, he said, "Man, we got to make poutine. We got to try poutine." And he I guess, whipped up a batch of poutine, and I'm like,
"What'd you think of it?
This is it? This is what you're saying?"
You said, half of that, it ain't biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, no, it's not biscuits and sausage gravy, for crying out loud. It's not beans and cornbread. Come on.
Yeah.
French fries.
I get a kick out of, social media is so funny, but I get a kick out of some people that come up with these ideas. Like there's, on TikTok, there's some British people. Several of them, but there's one group where there's these two young British guys, and I don't know if it's their dad or their granddad or whatever, but they'll go, in their British accents, they'll go, "Today we're trying barbecue, and we're in Texas to the brisket," and they'll bring this big tray, and they'll go, "I've never seen so much food on one plate, have you?" And they'll try it, and they'll go, "Oh my God, it's the best thing I've ever had." And then there's this British couple that came over. And they came for like 2 weeks, and they would do TikToks every day. Well, then they came back and they rented an RV and like went all across the country. And that was the thing. They were stopping and eating, the first thing was biscuits and gravy. And the girl said, "That looks terrible. I'd never eat that." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to try it." And he goes, "Oh my God," he said, "best thing I've ever had. It's fantastic." He said, "English food sucks compared with American food."
Now, there were some other things on that list, too, that I thought, kind of one of the things was universal health care,
month-long vacations.
Okay, I could go with that if, we could.
I mean, I know a lot of Europeans who live in America now, and they say, it was routine. You get 30 days vacation.
They call it holiday for a reason, man. It's
after your first year, and they take it all at once. You don't break it up.
Yeah,
God, I remember I hated that, and when we used to do radio, when, after I'd been there for a number of years, I worked up to 4 weeks vacation. Everybody hated you because you had 4 weeks vacation and they only had 2. And you only took them one at a time. Right. But I was sneaky about it. I would always take mine around the holiday.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if
you plan it right, you get a couple of extra
9 days. You get 9 days out of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you had to work twice as hard the week before the vacation to
Right.
go on the vacation because you had to do all those damn best of shows and
Right.
the live commercial. It was like you were exhausted by the time you got ready to go.
Yeah.
But month-long vacations is on the list. Taxes included on the price tag.
Isn't
It's
on
not
the
a bad
price
idea.
tag?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
see.
it's like something's 90. Like this morning, I bought some speakers this morning online, and there was a flash sale. I saw an ad, and it said order them today, and they're $99 with free shipping. And I'm going to get that. And anyway, there was a problem with it, and I wound up having to call them, and the guy said, "All right, put it on your credit card. It'll be $108." And I went, "Wait a minute, what happened to
Yeah,
99?"
right.
He goes, "Oh, that's tax."
That's tax. You gotta add
okay,
tax.
okay. Just want to make sure I wasn't getting charged for shipping. High-speed trains was on there. Problem is, we're not capable of it.
No, we're not.
We tried it in California, and we did it in the around the turn of the century in the Northeast. We've got some trains that run from Washington all the way to Boston that get up to about 120 in places, but we're not capable of it anywhere else.
Well, in places like New York and Boston, on the East Coast, from D.C., that corridor on up, it can be workable, but we don't know how to take care of that stuff. You get on the subways in New York. There was a time when you felt safe.
Well,
it felt nice to
subways
get
are whole
on.
different things. The trains, the Amtrak and the Metroliner and all that, they still run on time and people use them. And I think if you could have a high-speed train that ran from like L.A. to Vegas, Vegas to San Francisco to LA to San Diego to Sacramento. If you could get a hub out there like that, it would work. The problem is they can't do it without spending $1 trillion.
Well, that was the thing about the one in California. It was a high-speed train to Bakersfield. Who wants to go to Bakersfield, for crying out loud?
Because it's a bait and switch. I'll give you a perfect example. The trolley in San Diego is a perfect example. They came up with this idea in San Diego that they were going to build this public transportation, the San Diego trolley, and it'll move. Well, guess where it went from Tijuana to San Diego. And you know why? So they could bring workers for the hotels, and the hotel people didn't have to worry about it. And then they took it back to the border every day. It took them 40 years after that to extend the line up to North County, which they're just now doing.
Yeah, and I've seen videos of high-speed trains in like Japan, or
China.
even the train system in Russia, and it's clean and people behave, and it's fine.
Well, all over Europe. I mean, they have it all over Europe. I rode the Channel train from London to Paris, and that was. But you can get on the train and go anywhere. But a lot of people don't drive, or they don't have cars, or they have little bitty cars that you can't put a bunch of people and baggage in. So
taking the train from London up to Edinburgh, and it's a beautiful, nice, pleasant ride. Everything's great. But now that we mentioned San Francisco, did you see this story about there were a group of billionaires who wanted to set up an experiment off the coast of California to see if they could block out the sun?
What a great idea.
A large area.
Was Bill Gates involved? This sounds like a Bill Gates plan.
Well, that's one of the things he is intimately involved with, is trying to find a way to globally block out the sun.
Yeah.
Now, how much logic is involved here? These are the same people who are pushing solar energy, which requires sunlight, because they think that the global warming is killing us. So we want to, instead of using oil, gas, coal, then we use the sun to power our world.
Yeah, but it's guaranteed they'll screw it up. They'll overdo it.
But then they want to block out the sun.
They'll overdo it, and all the crops will die, and we'll all starve to death.
That's kind of the goal.
I just saw an MIT scientist yesterday on YouTube. I wish I could think of his name. But he was a retired atmospheric physicist, something way beyond my pay grade, and he goes, I taught at MIT for 30 years. And he talked about, he said, there's 3 types of people in climate change. He said, one, there's the scientists that are actually working on climate change. And then there are people that are working on trying to stop climate change. And then there's the media and all the politicians who are using climate change to their own advantage.
Right.
And then he had this real simple thing. He goes, the climate has changed in the last 200 years. It's increased 1.8 degree Fahrenheit in the last 200 years. He said the problem with all the theories about global warming, man hasn't produced enough carbon dioxide in that time to create the change that's happened.
And
He said it's mathematically impossible. We are creating a lot of carbon dioxide that's going to the atmosphere, but the temperature started rising long before we started putting the massive amounts into the air.
But I think the thing we have to look at logically is, what does carbon dioxide do? It goes to feed plants, trees, grass, corn, edible crops suck up carbon dioxide. And what does it do? It gives us oxygen.
Right.
So those who are saying that carbon dioxide is a pollutant, no, it is plant food. And there have been times throughout the millennia that carbon dioxide in the atmosphere was far higher and temperatures were colder. So it's not a pollutant. It's not causing global warming. And another thing, Bill Gates was presented with this idea. Well, if carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is a problem, why don't we plant more trees? And he said that's a ridiculous notion. Instead, he wants to create these machines that are carbon capture and just basically suck all the carbon out of the air, which will eventually starve plants and then starve us.
You can't plant trees because you got to put up the wind farms. You got to cut the trees down for the solar farms and the windmills. And he's a nut job. I don't know why we listen to Bill Gates anymore.
He suddenly became a multi-billionaire nerd, and then decided that he was a medical expert and started creating vaccines. And some of his vaccines were very dangerous to children in India. In fact, there's some still pending lawsuits against him.
I'm not a fan. He turns my stomach. I feel the same way about him as I do Hillary Clinton.
And they both have a connection to Epstein and his island and those things.
Exactly.
So kind of a weird circle of friends there.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what else you could want in a podcast in one single day than what you've been provided with today. Just a whirlwind of activity here on the Jack Murphy Podcast. And, of course, you can subscribe. You can like the video. Tell your friends about the podcast because, we need some more subscribers. We're up to, we broke through 180 finally. But now, it's available.
I would put a caveat on that. If you like it and have a good time, tell your friends. If you don't like it, shut the hell up. We don't need
exactly.
that.
We don't need that. And
thanks for watching the Jack Murphy Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Go ahead, ring it. Get alerts when a new episode drops. And tell your friends about the Jack Murphy Podcast. But only the cool friends, please. Tune in next time for another episode of the Jack Murphy Podcast.